Hello, folks. This is Nigel, Spiritual Renaissance NZ Unleashed, or Spiritual Renaissance New Zealand, and I wanted to tonight. This is what are we on? The 15th, 16th, 15th of May, and this news here is from the 14th of May in the US, but very much up to date with what's happening at the moment. This is concerning children getting sick of some strange illness, which is now being called the multi-system inflammatory syndrome, or MIS-C, MIS-C, MIS-C. Um, and you can listen to this. I'm actually going to play this, uh, and I'll make a couple of comments as we go along.
Leap forward tonight on a possible vaccine and the tropical threat brewing, the impact on the U.S.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. There is breaking news tonight regarding that mystery illness affecting children and now being linked to coronavirus. Late today, the CDC taking steps to track just how many kids are getting sick with multi-system inflammatory syndrome and issuing new guidance to help doctors recognize the illness that so far has been considered rare but is appearing in more and more states. And that's where our reporting begins tonight with Kristen Dahlgren.
The alert was sent to thousands of doctors across the country, outlining what the CDC is now calling multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, or MIS-C. The document lays out criteria for the illness, including fever, inflammation, at least 2 organs impacted, and a positive test for COVID-19 antibodies or COVID exposure 4 weeks before the onset of symptoms, which are described as similar to Kawasaki disease, including rash, red eyes or tongue, and abdominal pain.
This is not a subtle disease.
Dr. Jeffrey Burns has been coordinating a group of more than 1,000 doctors comparing notes on the syndrome.
We have laid together these research centers across the United States and now the world rapidly in the last 2 weeks. And we're working as hard as we can to find the answer to this.
Today, New York City confirmed it now has at least 100 cases.
We have to understand it better. We have to get ahead of it.
New York City reached its peak of coronavirus cases on April 6th, about 5.5 weeks ago. So tonight, experts warn other parts of the country could see inflammatory syndrome cases spike between 4 and 6 weeks after their COVID-19 peaks. NBC News has learned at least 19 states are investigating cases of the inflammatory illness, believed to be an overactive immune response. There's no apparent pattern to which kids get sick. In Illinois, Amelia went from a happy 4-year-old to a ventilator in just days.
Everything started filling with fluid in her lungs.
Now here's the thing. This is a clue to the cause of this multi-system inflammatory syndrome, and they actually said it there. They suspect that it is caused by an overactive immune response. Now, an overactive immune response will only happen, or normally, when the person either catches a virus or when they have been vaccinated. And I am going to pause the video for a moment because I want to find something on my computer to show you. I'll just pause it now and just be patient here. Okay, hope you can see this, and it gives you some idea, but I had a bit of trouble finding this, but this is doses of vaccines for US children from birth to 18 years old, and this is from the CDC, the Center of Disease Control in the US. In 1983, this is how many vaccines they had to take, and in 2016, this is how many vaccines they have to take up to 18 years, right? Now you're getting some kind of an idea, and then we have 2016 total doses, 70 doses in 50 different injections. Now, if you look at this and you understand that you begin to understand why an overactive immune response would actually happen, and that is because these vaccines are supposed to kick in the immune system. Now, when you get that many vaccines injected into a person, when a vaccine is injected into the body, it's not going in the way that viruses normally are ingested. Viruses are normally ingested through the mouth and through in ingesting some toxins and so forth, and then the virus becoming active in the body, or through, as we know, 5G, which has also increased incrementally and significantly in the last year. And so what you've got is actually a toxic overload. And so when you're talking about a multi-system inflammatory inflammatory syndrome, an overactive immune response, what you're talking about there is a toxified body, a result of toxicity, right? That is what this is. Now we'll carry on watching the video, and I'll just finish this bit off.
Her pregnant mom couldn't visit the hospital.
To not be able to put the hands on your child when they're in need.
Like most kids, Amelia is now getting better with treatment, but 3 have died. Doctors say learning more about this rare immune response could ultimately help them understand COVID-19 and develop a vaccine.
I hope more families don't have to do what we had to do.
Hope tonight, a new alert helps them know what to look for. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, New York.
Okay, so, and what are they going to do as a response for this? Develop a new vaccine, right? A new vaccine to add to the 70 vaccines that they already get, right? And I've gone over this many times in the past, but you basically when you're dealing with viruses, vaccinations are the last thing that you really want to do, because when you inject into the body, it bypasses the body's immune system response, which there are 5 different systems in the body, and one of them is through the mouth, the mucous membrane and so forth. Now, when you bypass that, the body becomes confused, and what you get is an autoimmune response, which is basically the body getting confused, and it starts fighting its own cells. And when you look at this, overactive immune response, that is exactly what you have. To develop a vaccine to handle the problems that vaccines have caused is insanity. And so anyway, that is what is going on at the moment in the States. As I say, there's also this thing of 5G, and if you look up New York, you'll find that there is 5G in New York as well. And I haven't even really cross-checked that, but there will be, and you'll find that there's significant use of it. New Zealand just had this 5G rollout. Now, when these, basically with radiation of any kind, and 5G is a radiation of a kind. It's a electromagnetic frequency. It accumulates over a period of time. This is why workers are only allowed to spend a few minutes dealing with their cell phone towers, and they have to have suits on and so forth. But they only allowed a certain limited time to work around them, because the levels of EMF on those cell phone towers are so high. and people living near cell phone towers can actually be affected by it as well. So your body has a certain tolerance level, and as it accumulates more and more of radiation or this electromagnetic frequency, it reaches its tolerance level, and it begins to exceed that tolerance level, and at that point one can basically have a toxic overload, and we see all these symptoms kicking in and so forth. And that applies to your kids as well. So if you are worried about kids, what I would say is, one thing is you have to really be calm. You have to, something I wasn't good at in the past, but you really have to actually be calm around kids, and and limit television, limit cell phone use, and so forth. And yeah, sure, it's all a part of life now. Well, you know what? We have to start undoing that, because uh, you have a choice right now, right? And the choice is what you're seeing now on this video or health. And that is the choice you have to make. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Good night. And I have a video. I am making a meeting tomorrow morning, so anyone who watches this Friday night, Saturday, we are on at 10 a.m. on Zoom, and the link's on the group site. Have a good night.